what else can I even say at this point? This team just can't find a way to win. And while Carlos Mendoza said, yeah, this is bad, we're not playing well, he didn't exactly make excuses on Wednesday after the Mets lost their 8th in a row and were swept out of town, out of Hollywood, where they were not Hollywood swinging by the Los Angeles Dodgers. It's going to hit a point where you have to move on and see if someone else can inspire this group. This is an 8-game losing streak. It is just hitting unparalleled levels. They have an 8-game losing streak. They had an 8-game losing streak as well last year. They had a 7-game losing streak last year. They had a 7-game losing streak last year and a 6-game losing streak. That is 5, 6 or more game losing streaks in less than a calendar year. I mean, this is almost unfathomable. I don't remember in Mets history a team that has had losing streaks like this. Like, we gotta check the history books for what this team is doing since mid-June. From mid-June to mid-April, this has been the worst team in the sport. And it's unacceptable. This is a $370 million team with a fan base starving for winning, for a championship, for anything remotely positive like this team in 2024, and they ain't giving it to us. And listen, I don't know what to do at this point. I still think the talent is there, but how can I say that confidently right now at this present time? Nobody's hitting. Clay Holmes pitches well. It's a tight game. Then Devin Williams implodes in a non-safe situation, because when is he ever going to be a safe situation when you never win? So I'm out of answers, guys, and I just pray this off day gets the guys right. They get healthy, and they get this ship turned around in Chicago, because if not, they're going to have to be prepared for the Boo Birds to rain down on Tuesday, whoever's at the ballpark. Now, I think a lot of people will be no-shows. A lot of people will be selling their tickets, but I expect Citi Field in April, and as sad as this sounds, if they either get swept or lose 2 out of 3 of the Cubs, to be a ghost town next week. They're not exactly playing any good teams either. You know, you better line up some more bobblehead giveaways during the week, because it might be a graveyard at the ballpark on Tuesday. You're watching Mets Daily. I'm Jake Brown. Hit that thumbs up in the video, please. Hit that subscribe button. We appreciate your support. Make sure you leave those comments. We'll get to your comments at the end of the show. I mean, I don't know what else to say. By the way, the next subscriber will be at 4,200. So hit that subscribe, and we'll be at 420 with another 0 at the end. I'm numb at this point. I am numb. And, you know, I missed a lot of the game last night because I just mentally could not take it anymore. I had to step away and not watch for a bit. So, and I advise you all to do the same. Now, I do this every day. It's become, you know, it's part of what I do. You know, I obviously am still on the search for full-time. I'm hoping to move back to New York next month, trying to work that out. Maybe enter the sports card breaking space is the potential plan at the moment. So stay tuned for that. But otherwise, you know, there's days, there's games you just mentally at this point take off. Now, I hope that's not the case, because I love watching the Mets. You know, when they're on and it's fun to watch, it's great. But like right now, they find new ways to lose every night. And I almost am speechless. I don't know what else to say. You know, one positive from last night is MJ Melendez, who I've clamored for the Mets to call up at some point, and everyone's like, he only hit 200 in the minor leagues. MJ Melendez is a major leaguer, probably on a worse team. Now, the Mets right now are a terrible team. But, you know, when the Mets are on, he's probably a fringe roster player in the Mets. But other teams like a Pirates, the Royals, a Twins, he's a major leaguer. And I like his positional flexibility. He gets 2 doubles last night. If that one wasn't a ground rule double, it probably would have tied the game earlier. But he gave the Mets the only spark in the lineup. It took a guy coming up from AAA to give them a spark. And he replaces Jared Young, who went from, by the way, like a sore knee to a torn meniscus. Can someone explain? And I want to get into this with Polanco in a second, too. Can someone explain what's going on with the medical staff? I mean, I know we have a history of this with Jared, you know, Ray Ramirez, who I've interviewed. You know, the Mets have been laughing stock in terms of it, but like, what keeps happening with guys getting hurt and the Mets like undermining it, and then they end up with it becomes an insane. Like, I'm convinced we're going to learn Polanco today has a torn ACL or something. Like, that's how it's going with this team. And Jared Young ends up being torn meniscus. So same injury as Talkman, out 6 to 8 weeks. Talkman I would expect back sometime in June. Now, Jared Young, at this point, I would expect July, maybe August. So Young's out a while. Probably July for Young. 8 weeks puts him at mid-June, then rehab. So probably early July. Now, listen, you hope you don't need Jared Young on the roster at that point, but the way bodies are falling, you might. So MJ Melendez comes up, and I think MJ Melendez deserves some playing time. Anybody to provide a spark. Tommy Pham, I thought it was the right move, but in some ways it was the wrong move because he is so behind on pitches. I mean, even that spot last night where he could have tied the game with a fly ball, he just struck out lazily. He just looks so off swinging the bat. His bat speed's not there in the slightest. I mean, he just looks completely lost. And, I think 5 games in single A was not enough for Tommy Pham. And by the way, he didn't hit in those 5 games in single A. The Mets kind of rushed to bring him up. Now he has the deadline where, you could be gone if he's not on the roster, but I think it was April 25th. The Mets didn't really need to rush it. I would have went to Melendez first because Melendez had an entire spring training. He was in the WBC as well. Where Tommy Pham, we don't know where. Now, Tommy Pham said he was staying in shape, and I'm sure he was, but he wasn't on a Major League roster. He wasn't, hitting around in Major League pitching. So to have Tommy Pham have 5 games all against single A pitching and then say, hey, come up and face the Dodgers was a little bit scary. It clearly hasn't worked because he has just looked putrid at the plate. But MJ Melendez looked good. So there's a bright spot for the Mets. I was mentioning the Jorge Polanco thing. I mean, bursitis will be reevaluated today. IL stint possible. Why was Jorge Polanco not put on the IL a week ago? The Mets continue to do this. If he's unavailable to play most games, then why is he here on the roster? You say what you want about that deal. We can't keep arguing until we're blue in the face. I obviously said the smart move is moving on from Alonso. You could debate whether or not Polanco was the right replacement. Maybe he's not. An injury is going to make him look like not. You're going to say he's had some injuries in his career, fine, but he was mostly healthy last year. It's a tough debate. If Polanco is healthy and out there, he's a good hitter. He's just not healthy, and I think the Mets should have put him on the IL a while ago. If he's going to be good one day, bad the next, this whole game, just let him sit on the couch for 2 weeks. Like, don't have him on his feet at all. My buddy texted me. I'll read a text, and this is a true Mets fan text. She said, how do I know more than the Mets medical staff? If you have bursitis, you have to stop activity, ice, anti-inflammatories. I've been through bursitis before. Everything they are doing is making it worse. It's absurd. How do I know more than the Mets medical staff? Yeah, I mean, listen, she's right. I mean, she's not a doctor. I think she's a psychologist. But, what are they doing here? It's just bizarre with Polanco, and this is the major leagues, and I think the Mets are messing around. I get there's injuries, and you don't have many replacements. But listen, if you got to get a Ryan Clifford or someone up here, somebody else, I don't know, or put Melendez at first or Beatty, do what you got to do. But Polanco's not available. He's not available. There's nothing you could do about it. It's not like you're losing Mike Piazza in the lineup. So I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on the IL today as the Mets go to Chicago on Friday. But Mets got to do better with the medical stuff. All right, let's read your comments from yesterday's show. Keep hitting that thumbs up, please, right now on this video. Follow me at Jake Brown Live. We've been doing really good on IG. A lot of food reviews, exclusive content, clips from Hank Azaria. Go back and watch Hank Azaria interview on the show from the other day. Here we go. And Martini said Beltran should be getting his jersey ready just in case Mendoza is released. Yeah, a lot of people have spoke, guys, about Beltran being the guy. I'm not against it. I would just be a little bit shocked if, he's getting his number up there. I guess it's a cool story. Now, maybe the players would like Beltran more. It would just be a little surprising. Guy with not much coaching experience, they immediately throw him in that role. It feels like internal guys who know the players, they would go to Correa if that were the decision. YK Paul says, this isn't something to be freaking out about right now. The moment they gave Soto that kind of deal, that's when things started falling apart. And then take care of guys they should have. By the way, Soto will be back, looks like next homestand. So hopefully Tuesday, sometime next week, Soto will be back as well. This is just too long of a comment. I'm sorry. From Marcus, for all those advocating firing Mendoza, Steve Cohen step and fire Mendoza and Stearns. They're not going to fire Stearns. That's not going to happen. I think Mendoza, You're probably not doing it in April. Like I said, if they get swept in Chicago, you kind of have to do it on Monday. But that's only if they get swept, because that's going to hit a point. I mean, listen, you lose 11 games in a row, you have to fire the manager, considering the losing streaks and the collapse last year. So I honestly think this is a job determining weekend for Carlos Mendoza. How you show up Monday with the manager still there, and again, we're not blaming everything on the manager. We know the players got to be better, but to lose 11 games in a row is hard to do when you have this good of a roster. You have to fire him. There's no choice Monday if you get swept but to fire him. BTA says it's not Mendoza's fault. Stearns put the team together. The mess is totally on him. It's not a good team. I disagree, BT. I think you look at this roster, it is not a bad team. This is at the very least an 85-win team. And unfortunately, they're just underperforming. I mean, how you go into the season, you look at this roster when healthy and think this is a bad team. You really just don't follow baseball, because you look at this team on paper when they're completely healthy. It really is a good team. Like, look at the starting pitching has been incredible outside of Peterson. Like, it's a good team. So you're wrong on that. It's just a team playing terribly. I think the one argument you can make, and this is a fine argument, is guys are playing out of position, and I 100% get that. But when you look at the offense and a majority of the defense, you have a Gold Glover at short, second, center. Bench is a good outfielder. Soto's not a bad outfielder. Alvarez not a bad catcher. You look at first, third, and what they're doing with Soto now out, then yeah, guys are playing out of position. But assuming Soto's healthy, you have two players who are playing out of position. So I don't think two guys playing out of position. And by the way, one's moving from short to third. The other has played every other position in Polanco. I don't think it's insane, like the two guys who are out of position, putting them where they were. It just has not worked out. And honestly, that has been the least of the Mets' worries. The offense not hitting has been the biggest of the worries. And usually that changes. Like, offense is something that comes and goes. It goes in waves, and hopefully the wave is coming for the Mets. It just hasn't come yet. Shakamoto said Pham was looking friendly with Lindor and company in the dugout last night. Maybe the laziest player in the league are the ones who are gone. Yeah, I mean, my guess is he was referring to Starling Marte when he talked about the 2023 guys. I don't know that he had any issues with Lindor. Also, Lindor is friendly, I feel like, with everyone. So I wouldn't look too deep into that. But also, Pham is a couple of years later. Listen, there's one guy on the current Mets, I will say, that I know did not like Tommy Pham in 2023. That's what I heard. And I'm not going to say who it is, but there was one guy who said he did not like it. So I'll leave the show on that. We'll talk to you tomorrow on Mets Daily.